Hi, everybody, and welcome to our May Judge Foundry meeting. I have several things to share with us this morning before we dive into our formal agenda. Also, as a note, we do have a few things on the agenda, or a few things in the meeting that weren't on the agenda because we finalized them at the last minute. So, a few things. First off, we're gonna put our announcements before our member Q&A today, just because of the way that the topics worked out. A reminder that you can always provide feedback. We have several ways for you to do that. You can email us at board@judgefoundry.org. That will go to all 5 board members. You can post in the feedback forum on JudgeApps. You can ask questions in the Q&A forum before each meeting. Those are the questions that we will be answering at the end of the meeting today and each meeting. Or you can just find one of us individually to talk. As long as that's not interfering with events, we're happy to do that. Okay, so yes, just a personal note, we appreciate all of your feedback. We are doing the best job that we can, but we don't know necessarily what you're thinking unless you tell us that. So please continue to do so. Moving on with some more welcome announcements. We recently published our spring level tune-up. You can check out the article on our website. A reminder that our Outlaws of Thunder Junction quizzes close on Friday. If you're L2 plus, please take that because it completes a maintenance requirement, so you don't have to do a larger test at the end of the year. Also, as a note, and this is a big one for anybody who has not transferred their level over from Judge Academy. The deadline for that is Friday. We've been emailing out individual emails to people who still don't have a Judge Foundry level, but we want to make sure that everybody who has a level in Judge Academy and wants that transferred gets that done before the end of the week. As a reminder, that would be if you had a Judge Academy level on October 13th. That's the date when we grabbed the info and have in order to transfer. So there is a form that you'll fill out through JudgeApps to do that. If you don't have a level, you should also have an email. A reminder that we're going to share tons of news with you tonight, but if you aren't already on our newsletter, we also share information that way in the middle of the month. Sometimes you can hear about it sooner, sometimes the meeting will be sooner, so join us both ways. With that, I'm going to dive into our agenda because we have a lot going on tonight. First thing is the approval of our April minutes. Does anybody have, so board members have all taken a look at that. Does anybody have any changes or edits to that? With that, we will approve our April board meeting minutes. Moving on to our membership update. Joe.
Yeah, so we had a Q&A question this time around asking for more detail on our membership update. So instead of putting that in the Q&A section, I'm going to put it here. I have all the numbers for all the levels. I don't have deltas from last month to this month because I didn't pull the data last month. It was a little more difficult. So moving forward, these membership updates will have how many Judge Foundry folks we have at each level. Right now we have 331 L1s, 237 L2s, 21 L3s, 9 L4s, and 20 L5s, and then 211 uncertified members. That's all the people that we're trying to track down to get their levels transferred over from Judge Academy. So again, if you haven't done that, today or tomorrow's or Friday's the deadline. The total is 928 members as of now, and that's the membership update for May.
Thank you, Joe. And for any of you who didn't have, if you are an uncertified member and did not have a Judge Academy level on October 13th, we do have, but had a level historically. There is an article out there on how you can restore that level as well. Next topic, moving on to the Treasurer's Report with John Bryan.
Yeah, so we're going to get more details later with the budget breakdown, but here's your monthly Treasurer's Report. Right now, we have cash on hand of just over $24,000. Liabilities total about $3,000 for a total balance of about $21,000. Major liabilities include our credit card bill, our accounts payable to JudgeApps that will clear out tonight, and then our accounts payable to 4imprint for the merchandise that y'all just ordered. Overall, then we're real healthy. In April, brought in a total of $4,900, and we had expenses of $1,100. So balance keeps going up. We like when line goes up, and we'll be talking later about where we're going to spend some of that money.
Thanks, John Brian. With that, we wanted to move into announcements. So first up, I am really excited to announce a new project, and that is our community project grants. So one of the things we've been discussing is how we can, we kind of got started a lot with some what's viewed as like higher level things, but how we can really refocus on store level judges and help with education. And so we're really excited to announce a project where we're going to be setting aside funds to focus on education, cultivation, and promotion. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking for project proposals. We've set aside $6,000 to fund those, with the plan being that individual members or groups of members can bring forward proposals for projects that will help store level judges with that education, and ask for a grant to do that project. So the only thing you can't do is say you're going to pay me to do the thing. The work that the members are putting in is on a volunteer basis, but the money should go to supplies, other things to support doing that project. So we want everybody to start thinking about ideas, talking to other judges, and then we will have an article coming out with the application process for that in June. Next up, we have a merch update with Rob.
All right. So this is really brief. As John Brian mentioned, we ordered all the merch in that is due to come in. Some arrived today, and it's arriving over the next couple days. The pack and ship for this wave is going to be heading out on this weekend. So expect everything to be in the mail by Monday. And we are putting the store up fairly soon again with all the same merchandise. We're not removing anything. We're doing a couple little price adjustments. We're bumping the cost on the hoodies a little bit because of just to make sure that we aren't actually losing anything on them. And we're going to make an adjustment to the layout on the tokens a little bit. It's not going to be like a full redesign. There was feedback that the text box is too dark for writing stuff in, so we're just updating that a little bit. It's not going to be a substantial change. They're going to be the same tokens, basically. And that's what we've got for merch. It's trucking along. We've had 60 sales this last time, which is pretty good.
Thanks, Rob. Next up, we have an announcement from John Brian.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this one. We're announcing to y'all tonight that we are partnering with Judgecast, contracting them to build a video series on how to become a judge. They're going to produce 18 videos on topics that you need to know in order to certify. This will be useful for existing L1s and people who want to become an L1. That's going to come out over the course of about a year. It's going to be owned by Judgecast on their YouTube page and sponsored by us. And so we're really excited to be working with Judgecast. We'll be voting later today on authorization to contract with them. But I'm so excited about this because we know they've been putting out terrific content for the judge community for years and years and years, since before I was a judge, and getting them to produce something for folks who want to become judges that will be evergreen, that will be on the topics you need to know to become a judge is just something fantastic. And we're so excited to be working with them.
Yeah, on a personal note, I listened to all of the old episodes of the podcast to certify for my L1. So excited that that's going to get a refresh in a video format. Next up on announcements, we have the RA elections. Joe.
Yeah, so if you've been paying attention to our meetings, we approved the region system over the last couple months, and we're starting to move towards our first regional advocate elections. There's going to be an article coming in the next week, and the first class of regional advocates will serve until the end of 2025. So you have a little bit longer term. And this is going to be the first time that we're trying our online voting system, so everyone will get to see how voting is going to work in all of our elections. If you're interested in being a regional advocate, be ready. We'll have not applications, but nominations rather, out soon.
Thanks, Joe. Next up, gift subs, Bears.
Hello. I have some exciting announcements about our gift subscriptions. The idea of a gift subscription is that you can gift a month of Judge Friend membership to another member, or if you would like, to yourself. That's one way you can pay in advance if that's something you're interested in doing. We did a beta test with a couple of TOs, Cool Stuff Inc. and Laughing Dragon Games, earlier this month. That went really well and helped us learn more about the feature and what we needed to do to make it generally available to everybody. There was quite a bit of work behind the scenes needed to make that happen. The long and short of it is that I'm very excited to announce that it's going to be launching in early June. It is going to be available to everybody that's a Judge member all at once. So you don't have to worry about, am I allowed? Am I not allowed? It'll just become available. You can gift yourself or other members a subscription in 1 month increments up through December 2024. So please keep in mind, you can't buy 12 all at once, more like 6 or 7. I think that everyone will be really happy with the finished result. In the past couple of weeks, we've been working on fixing various bugs, adding an opt-out mechanism, and other stuff to make it really polished and hopefully a good experience for everybody. So I hope you'll be excited with the finished results. And of course, please feel free to send your feedback through us through all the ways that Amanda mentioned earlier, through the JudgeApps forums, through our board email address. So I hope you'll enjoy the feature.
Bears, if someone wanted to opt out, are we going to be providing more information about how they do that?
Yeah, opting out is going to be in JudgeApps as well. You would basically click on the gift subscription link. So one part of it will allow you to do the gifting and see subscriptions you've given or received, and then at the bottom it'll talk about your settings and basically say whether you're currently opted in or out, or if you're not a Foundry member at all. And if you would like to opt out, you just click the button, and if you would like to opt back in, you just press the button again. So
yeah.
should be
So to
very
clarify for anybody, the opt out just means that you would like to not be able to receive those, so that people cannot gift them to you.
Yep.
We just think it's important for choice. Okay, thank you, Bears. Moving on, John Bryan.
Yeah, another announcement about which I'm very excited today, and that's to tell you guys that Judge Foundry is going to be partnering with Face-to-Face Games up in Canada to send materials to every store that is hosting an RCQ in the fall season. That kit's going to include promotional materials on how to find a judge, how to become a judge, and something for players to see that this store will be using a Judge Foundry judge for their RCQ. Because we're sending all that stuff, we also managed to sneak a gift in there for the head judge of each RCQ. That gift is not compensation; it's a thank you present and a way of saying thanks for being a judge, thanks for going out and judging an RCQ. So we can't thank Face-to-Face enough for giving us opportunity. We know it's going to be great for judges in Canada, it's going to be great for stores in Canada, it's going to be great for players in Canada, and it's going to be great for us because it'll give us a chance to see, as we are toting the memberships of Judge Foundry judges, what that does for that, and how we can expand this pilot to get more judges working in stores, more stores hiring judges for their RCQs, and get more judges. So Canadians, please do make sure your information in JudgeApps is up to date. We're going to tell TOs to go into JudgeApps and either post an application or search the judge map to find local judges. So make sure your location, make sure that your email's up to date, make sure there's a way to find you, because you don't want to miss those opportunities to work more RCQs and get that sweet gift for sending out.
Thank you, John Bryan. Thank you to everybody for our announcements. And I just want to make another quick personal note here, which is that, if you go back a couple of meetings and look through questions, you'll notice that we had some questions about, hey, what are you doing for L1 and L2 judges? You'll notice several things on this week's announcements, and some of these were things that were already percolating, but that definitely, we took your feedback to heart and definitely push some of these through quicker, or actually started brainstorming some new ideas. So I just wanted to point out, we are listening to your feedback. We're trying to adapt to that in a way that, yeah. So just keep providing feedback. And that takes us to our Q&A for this week. Matt.
Hello. All right. So the first question that used to be on the list was the thing about the breakdowns with the member, but we already did that. So we're just going to move right on. The next question's from Dan, just asking for the usual update on board members' short and long-term goals.
Cool. I'll go first. So my short-term goal involves addressing the onboarding experience for new judges. And for the past couple of months, I've been especially focusing on folks who are transferring their levels from Judge Academy. That has, I think, been going fairly well. We've been working with JudgeApps to get the message out there about the opportunity to transfer your level, because that window is also going to be closing in the next couple of days. Once that has kind of wrapped up, I do want to focus more on the actual experience of becoming a Judge Foundry member. There's some other elements of that that are in the pipe. And I think that, like John Bryan alluded to, partnering with Judgecast is very exciting as well, because they'll be putting out content around that. It's not the same as it being on a website in a written format or part of the JudgeApps flow, but it is, I think, all pieces of the puzzle of making that experience of becoming a new judge better and as frictionless as possible. My other long-term goal involves, the sustainability of the work of the organization, and potentially looking into having something like a executive director. I'm very happy with what's happening with the budget, that we're focusing it on level 1, level 2 judges and local events, instead of hiring a single person to do a lot of things. We're instead spreading out and getting lots of folks to be involved, which I think makes the community, which is a big hallmark of the judge community. So no specific update on that right now, but it's definitely in the back of my mind as something that would be nice if the circumstances ever allowed. I'll kick it over to Amanda.
Thanks, Bears. My short and long-term goals mostly focused on the ops certs. I don't have a lot to report, but I did start working on putting together a team to develop tests for Melee. Intention is to start with a Melee test for judges prior to moving on to working on Melee tests for scorekeepers. I hand that over to Joe.
Yeah, so my short-term goal last month was international communication. I continue to be there, but there's a lot of stuff going on internationally and not a lot of communication. So I should probably dig a little bit deeper in terms of what IJP is doing and maybe getting more involved with them, but didn't get a lot of that done this month. My long-term goal was having L4 and L5 panels this year. We're arriving at the end of our expedited promotion program, and it looks like I'm anticipating some applications for L4 and L5 in the next couple months. So I'm enthusiastic about getting some of those panels done soon. And I think John Bryan is next.
Yeah, so my long-term goal has been getting judge recruitment advanced move again. I will say this month's a little slower than last month. When I'm putting together the newsletter, I do always look at our promotions, and this is the first month where we've actually had fewer promotions the previous month. But of course, we knew that was going to happen eventually, that we can't always grow every time. But we did announce today a number of things that are going to kickstart judge recruitment, and I'm really excited about those things. And so I think things are going to pick up. Short term, my goal is getting all those initiatives we've just talked about to the point where they're rolling. We've got exciting new things that we're announcing today. Now the next step is actually getting them into your hands, getting them moving. There's just so many moving parts, especially on the Canadian RCQ kit, getting a contract signed with Judgecast, a few other projects that we aren't ready to talk about yet. That there is even more in the pipeline coming, which is looking more like a fire hose than a sprinkler. And so getting that stuff from idea into production is going to be where I'm at for most of the summer, I expect. I'll pass it over to Rob.
All right. So my short-term goal tends to just be make sure merch keeps getting trucked out. And with that being closed, with the next wave, with this wave getting shipped, with the next wave coming open, that's keeping going. I'm working with John Bryan on the face-to-face kit. We're getting some stuff put together for that. And my next goal is to really help make sure that community project grants get off the ground. I'm going to be reaching out to some people for that to try to encourage them. If you have good ideas for community project grants, or if you have a nebulous idea and you want to try to make it better, reach out to me. We can chat about stuff, because it might be that somebody else reached out to me and has half an idea and you have half an idea. I don't want to try to help enable people to do that kind of stuff. Just act as some community wheel greasing in that. So, and we're on to the next
Thanks,
question,
Rob.
I think. Back to Matt.
Yeah,
Welcome.
that is all 5. So the next question, thank you, from Brooke. Is there an update on conferences or an announcement of an announcement of an update? So it looks like Bears, you got a... Oh.
I'll take this one.
Okay.
I'll actually be taking it on behalf of... I'll take this one. I'll actually be answering on behalf of Ward Warren, our conferences lead. The short answer is yes, we have some very exciting updates for you. The first of those is that Ward and the rest of the conferences team are putting the finishing touches on an application form for conference organizers to submit their conferences to be an official Judge Foundry conference. The scope of the form is meant to be pretty broad. It's going to cover both conferences, which are primarily focused on education, as well as gatherings, which are more focused on socialization, and potentially even other forms of a judge class or a judge training, something that happens week over week, for example. Conferences or other events that are accepted are going to be designated as official conferences, while those that are declined or deferred will receive some suggestions on improvement so they can apply again in the future, or at least have some insight into what the team would have been looking for that they did not see in the application. So you should expect to hear more about that in the next week or so, which is super exciting. Secondly, we're in the process of finalizing the charter for the conferences project. The board will actually be voting on that later this very evening. I'm personally very excited about the charter because it spells out the duties and the obligations of the conferences project, and that's relevant for the membership because it helps you get a sense of what to expect at conferences, which at a very high level is a welcoming and inclusive environment, high quality presentations, feedback for presenters, and a lot more. So very excited about that as well. And then finally, if anyone listening is super excited about conferences or gatherings and you're interested in joining the conferences team, we're very happy to recruit additional volunteers. So if you would like to join the team, please reach out to Ward Warren about that. You can look him up on JudgeApps and contact him that way if you don't have any other contact information for him. So thanks a lot for the question, Burke. Really excited to share these updates.
Thank you to Matt and for everybody for answering questions. With that, we are going to move on to our presentation for this evening, which is John Bryan with the Judge Foundry's 2024 budget.
All right, thanks, Amanda. So there we go. So let me just pull up my PowerPoint. There we go. And we will get started. So this is an overview of the 2024 budget. Here's what we're going to talk about here today. We're going to talk about FY 2024. That is the year ending September 30th. Our year goes from October 1st to 30th. A couple reasons for that. The first one is just that we got started in the fall. Second one is that it matches a lot to the Wizards event year. And the third one is that we didn't want to line up the calendar year because that causes bunch of issues. So this is the budget going through essentially to when the next board is elected. All the numbers I use today are going to be in US dollars. I'm going to ask our Canadians to do the mental translation to loonies and toonies. Maybe there'll be a little caption on the bottom. The budget is a living document. About once a month, I'm going into here looking at where what we're actually spending, what we're actually bringing in, making changes. When people have ideas for things, we're looking where we can find money. We're spending not enough, spending too much. This is a snapshot of where the budget is right now. It is not a promise this is where the budget will be forever. In fact, I promise the budget probably won't be this way forever because we want to adapt it to best serve the needs of the organization. We're doing this presentation because judges have asked for years now for transparency from their judge organization, how their money is spent. As a nonprofit organization, we already have some transparency built in. We'll be filing our Form 990 at the end of the year, and you'll be able to see some broad numbers there. But we want to give you more details while the year is going on so you can understand the dues you're paying, other money that comes in, how much it is, where it's going, what it's being spent on. Obviously, some of you may have opinions about how would be a better way to spend it. If you do, the solution is get involved. Email us, ask a question in a meeting, start a thread in the feedback forum on JudgeApps, join a project, start a project. Tell us how you want to spend the money. Don't just say, I don't like that. Tell us what you would do and be a part of doing that. So with that, let's talk about the good side. That's the revenue, the money coming in here. So as of yesterday, our receipts for this month for this year's were $37,392.71. That is, I like to think that in dues months. That's 7,478 dues months worth of money. I like to think about dues months because each one of those represents some judge caring enough about being a judge to be part of Judge Foundry for another month, and we owe it to that judge to honor their contribution. And so whenever we're going to spend money, I think how many dues months is going to be, and is it worth it? If we were to give someone a free polo, that's 6 judges worth of dues for a month. Would those 6 judges be happy about that? While saying 7,478 dues months sounds like we brought in a lot of money, it is really easy if you're not careful to spend it really fast. Just as an example, our annual liability insurance costs more than the entire month of dues for all the L2s of Judge Foundry. That's just one line item. And so, think about it. We brought in about 37,000 so far this year. Looking forward, we expect to bring in almost $60,000 in FY24. We have 37,000 already. We're expecting to get to 60,000 by the end of September. I think we are on track to hit that number. Where's that money coming from, though? That money comes from a few spots. The primary one, of course, is dues, which is going to be about 40,000. Now, by law, dues have to make up a substantial portion of our revenue because we are a business league for judges. We will never not charge dues. As I said when I wrote the article about first introducing dues, even if someone came and said, I want to give you $100 million to be a judge program, we'd say, that's great, we'll take it, but we still got to charge dues because that's part of being a 501c6. By the way, once again, if you have $100 million and would like to give it to us, please email board@judgefoundry.org and we'll tell you how to give the e-judge for strike on that. So the key is we will always charge dues, and we got to make good use of those dues and make you feel like you are getting something value from it. The second line item here is donations. Tim Shields made an incredibly generous gift to Judge Foundry. We are so thankful to Tim for doing that. $600. That comes from the merch kits that folks bought, Chalice of the Void, the merch kits. We're incredibly grateful to Tim for his support of Judge Foundry here. It's a big portion, obviously, of our revenue, and we want to make sure we make good use of that as well for a lot of the vital infrastructure and other stuff we do. Next item here is a little smaller. That's exam licensing. It's not much, but if other orgs use our tests more, it'll be more. This is a number that goes up as we get more judge programs using our exams. This item is not really about making money for us. It is about giving programs that don't have the ability to do their own exams the ability to use ours. But we do like bringing in the money because that means it's money we can use on Judge Foundry things to bring some value for our members. Last item here is merchandise. This year we expect to bring in just over $14,000. That looks like a lot of money. That's $1 in $4. But wait until we get to the expenses because there's a downside here to that. So that's where our money's coming from. As you can see, big item here, of course, is your dues. So right now, speaking of dues, we project our numbers to be an average about 650 members per month. In the last month, then 739 people paid their subscriptions on Stripe. I'm getting a number from Stripe there. Now, the reason we still using 650 as our projection for each month is we have to sort of pay off the earlier months. Back in January, we had 512 members, even smaller back in November. And so as the average goes up, we may be able to move that number up. But I want to be a little conservative here. All these numbers, I try to expect a little lower in the revenue, a little higher in the expenses, because Judge Foundry, unlike the United States, cannot deficit spend. We cannot print money as much as we try. And so I would rather end the year happy that we've got extra money in our bank account, and then we set up the FY25 board with, hey guys, you can fulfill your campaign promises, rather than, hey guys, you got to raise dues because you got to pay off your credit card. So our numbers, all these, I'm a little pessimistic on how much we'll bring in, a little optimistic on how much we will spend, and that way we'll hopefully end up in the black. So that's revenue. Let's talk the other part where we are spending your money. There's three sorts of costs here we'll talk about. The first is administrative costs. The second is merchandise costs. The third is program costs. And we're going to go through each of those. One thing I will just say right off the bat, what is an expense is the board does not pay ourselves for being on the board. We do not pay project leads for being project leads. We are a volunteer organization. We will, as long as I have any say in it, and I believe this is the case for all the board members, we will never pay ourselves for being on the board. We don't believe that's a good use of your dues, and we are doing this as volunteers to create a better judge program for you. And so I want to be clear, there will be no line item here or ever, it's up to me, of us paying us. Let's talk about administrative costs here. And you got Abe going, what the heck's administrative cost? So these are the costs we have to exist as an organization. Some of these could be a little higher for the first year. This comes into a few buckets. They are government fees, infrastructure, professional services, fundraising costs. That's what makes up administrative costs here. These are the stuff you got to pay to exist. So your government fees, you got to pay your Uncle Sam, or if you're in Canada, I guess your Governor General Sam. So we had to pay the IRS to file. We got to pay state. We got to pay the provinces to file there, and some annual reporting. This year, we expect to spend about $1,400 on administrative costs. Now, some of these are one-time. I do expect this number to go down next year. This includes, for example, $600 to make our initial filing with the IRS. And so right off the bat, we're $1,400 in just to ask if we can exist as an organization. Next up is infrastructure. This is stuff we need. These are mostly fixed costs here. So the catch with these is that if we have 100 members and if we have 1,000 members, a lot of these numbers are going to be mostly the same. So that's why the more members we get now, we've hit a point where the more members we get, the more money we can put into the fun stuff, program costs. When we're back at 400 members, we kind of had to spend pretty much all of it on infrastructure. So let's talk about these. We got domain hosting because we need websites. We have to pay JudgeApps because JudgeApps provides absolutely critical things. It's non-negotiable. We need it, or we'd have no way for judges to communicate with each other, apply for events, things like that. Website hosting for our own website, email hosting for our Judge Foundry email addresses, email marketing to send you all that newsletter, which you can subscribe to on our website. Insurance, which you can't live without. This all comes to about $6,300 for this year. Like I said, these are pretty much fixed. A couple of these will go up. For example, there's more traffic. Our website hosting costs a little more. JudgeApps will go up a little bit. Insurance will go up a little bit, but most of this is fixed. I expect it to be in the $6,000 to $8,000 every year. Professional services. So this is while we are a volunteer organization, and we do have a number of volunteers who are incredibly helpful to us, including volunteer legal counsel in both the U.S. and Canada, who know who they are, and I know how grateful I am to them for their assistance. We do need a legal reserve for things our volunteer lawyers can't help with, and also because they sometimes incur expenses in the process of being a lawyer, and we don't expect them or their firms to come out of pocket. And so we do have a budget for legal fees, accounting fees, graphic design. These are things that are professional work that we can't rely on just volunteers. I do want to note graphic design is in here. The graphic designers are professionals. This is a job. We paid Tobias Vasari to design our awesome logo. And we do think we should pay for that. We also, by paying for it, get the copyright on it. But beyond that, then it's important to us to pay professionals to be professional work. So we hold $7,200 in for this one. Obviously, these numbers can go through the roof, but we think this is about what we'll end up spending each year. Last part of administrative costs is fundraising costs. You literally have to spend money to make money. And the big one here is the credit card fees. When you go through Stripe, they take a little bit of your money and keep it for themselves, just because that's what they like to do. So that we pay a percentage of transactions. There's nothing we do about it. We keep a little money for, because we get a chargeback. Don't do chargebacks. They are really expensive for us, and I know people think that they're like the magical customer service I win button, but they're actually really disruptive. So please just talk to us if something goes wrong, rather than going to your credit card, because it is really expensive. Payment dunning, that is another thing that we just have to pay for. If your credit card expires, it tries to essentially recapture it when you get the new credit card. That's so we don't have to send you an email saying, hey, your membership just lapsed. Can you fix that? Interest, we try not to pay into that, but if we mess up, then we hold a little money for interest. Bank fees, it turns out it costs money to be a business. So administrative costs, we expect to be about $4,300. Of that, almost everything is credit card fees, and that number is going to go up on a linear curve alongside revenue, because that's what it costs. So that we put this all together, administrative costs take up $19,000. It's about a third of our budget. I would like to get that number down. The catch is a lot of these costs are fixed and can't be brought down. And so sort of existing costs us about $19,000. We're never going to beat these entirely, but the lower percentage of our budget they are, the happier we will all be. Let's talk about merchandise costs. So we talked earlier about the revenue for merchandise. Here's the bad part. We got to pay the cost of goods sold. We have to buy stuff. A lot of it we had to buy in bulk. Some of it we ordered the exact number needed. We do ship stuff quarterly, which keeps our costs down, because then we can buy, it turns out it's much cheaper to buy 20 shirts at a time than buy 10 shirts at a time. And so we're trying to balance out getting you stuff at a reasonable pace with not paying an arm and a leg to get your stuff. We also have to pay for fulfillment, because it turns out that shipping stuff really kind of sucks. You have to be a warehouse, you have to do the shipping, you have to do returns. It's a bunch of work, so we pay someone to do fulfillment. We also pay for shipping to get your stuff. And if we're mailing it to Canada, we pay duties, so that Dudley Do Right doesn't cross the border with the other Mounties to throw us in jail. So that is just the cost it is to do shipping, to do merchandise, and total is $10,918. So let's do a little math here on the next slide. We said that we're expecting to get $14,000 in revenue. Our costs are almost $11,000, so we're netting about $3,000. Now that's not nothing. $3,000, while not $14,000, is still a good chunk of money. It is 631 dues months, or an extra month per year of dues, which we'll call Smarch. So we're delighted to have it. We're delighted to get merchandise on you. We're delighted to have this helping to pay for more stuff, and this way people essentially opt in to supporting Judge Foundry more. And we like that extra Smarch dues. Let's talk about the fun stuff here, the program costs. This is the stuff that we want to be spending money on because it supports our mission. Our mission is not to pay Stripe fees. Our mission is to better the business conditions of judges, to increase their training, to increase their abilities, and to certify the highest quality judges. So that includes education, making judges better, conferences, which have so many benefits we'll talk about, and then cultivation and the marketing of judges. Let's talk about education first. So we got a lot of room for bullets here. We just talked about the Become a Judge video series. That's a program cost. We're going to look at, we're currently talking to some folks about some other educational sponsored content. We've got the knowledge pool coming back, and spoiler alert, there's going to be gift subscriptions for having terrific answers to that. And then also the community project grants program. So this is all education work we're doing to try to make judges better. As you can see, this is very much focused on store level judges. We're trying to target this money where it's needed most. Right now, our top priorities are those L1, L2 store level judges and policy knowledge. We're seeing policy knowledge just is not where we want it to be. And so we want to spend some money on improving judges' understanding of policy. So that's we expect to spend about $11,700 on that this year. If we revise our projections upward in terms of revenue, I expect to spend more than that because this is where I want to spend some money. Let's talk about conferences. So we want to balance spending here. It's a huge opportunity for judge networking, judge education, and judge fun. And that's a big part of our purpose. We want judges to be able to network and find mentors and find mentees and teach them things and learn things. And in conferences, we want to provide opportunities for judges of all levels. We want to create great experiences for every judge, but not every conference will be good fit for each judge. That is to say, we may take conferences that are much more focused on becoming a judge. We may do a couple conferences that are focused on specific team lead skills and have those be small invite only affairs. But we want to make sure there's a conference experience for every judge in the program. Some conferences might have attendee fees to pay for things like food, material, space rental, but we're going to try to provide something for every conference. For example, a big regional conference with testing and featured speakers might pay for the venue, a bunch of travel costs. If it's just a monthly judge gathering at a pub to swap stories, maybe we'll send a couple of gift subscriptions to give away. But we do want to try to find a way to support judges gathering big and small. So costs here include the annual meeting, which is going to include both the conference and our election of officers and other businessy stuff. Regional, local judge conferences and gatherings. It's a conference infrastructure. For example, we are looking into just buying a Judge Foundry projector and just shipping it. The U.S. South used to have a projector, but I think it was made in like 1902, and it runs on Steam and has a VGA port. And so we kind of want to get a projector so that we don't have to deal with stuff like that anymore. Merch giveaways, like I said, giving out gift subs, giving out hats, giving out patches, giving out some stuff. Gift sub giveaways, same thing. Also, the annual meeting is going to need the ability to participate offline. We also may be supporting online conferences, and so having, for example, a Judge Foundry Zoom account that can be used by online conferences is something we're looking into. So our total, we're spending about $10,000 here. We do want to balance this, not have too much of judges who aren't going to conferences supporting those who are. But at the same time, we want to say, yo, go to a conference. It's a lot of fun. You can get a lot from it. So make it attractive for you. Last item here is cultivation and marketing. So this is both marketing to our members, marketing our members to the TOs, and marketing becoming a judge. So 3 categories here. We want to sell TOs on the value of using a Judge Foundry judge and indeed using a judge. We want to sell players on how awesome it is to become a judge. And we want to sell you on being more involved in a judge. We want you to feel engaged. But the balance is we also want to respect your dues payments and not spend a bunch of money on what you're already doing. And so there's a balance here. We're not going to go nuts, but we do want feedback on whether we're doing enough, you want more, whether you want less. So for example, the Mojo gift subs and giveaways, we announced our partnership with Daybreak Games to sponsor the Magic Online Judge Open this July. By playing some Magic Online with your fellow judges, you can win a month of dues and maybe even a hat. Third-party giveaways, we're looking at some other folks in the judge space and whether we can get them to give out gift subs to drive engagement. The face-to-face RCQ promotion kit pilot project. As part of this, it's marketing judges to TOs and convincing them, hey, you also hire judges, and also, hey, players, you should become judges. And then any swag giveaways. You'll note most events, if you go and there's a board member there, you can usually get a Judge Foundry sticker from us. Please just stick it on your own stuff. Just please do that. So we're looking right now spending about $5,400 on program on cultivation and marketing. This may go up, this may go down, but that's what we're targeting right now. So let's talk about the program costs overall. So that is a total of $25,350. You'll note this is our biggest item. We want to be our biggest item is right now about 40% of the budget. I would like that to keep going up. So if you remove merch from both revenue and expenses, it is close to 60% of our budget. A 60-40 split between program and admin is not really where we want to be. But as we get more members, if we get to 800 members, 900 members, I think number gets better and better, and we're going to see more and more money spent on you and making you a better judge, having more fun in the judge program, getting you hired more. So that gets us at last to the bottom line, and you can see Brooke is so excited to be at the end of this presentation. While we are, so our total revenue here, we expect once again $59,746. Our expenses, those of you not keeping track at home, I'll give you a second here to tabulate. It's $55,638. Now here's a line that's going to surprise you. It is taxes. So we are a tax-exempt organization, but we do have to pay taxes on unrelated business income. I could either spend the next 3 hours explaining to you that or not, and I'm going to choose the second one. But the point is that we had put some money aside for taxes for some stuff. There also may be some state tax we have to pay. Lastly, we do set aside 5% as a contingency. This is sort of the piggy bank, and if we under budgeted for some stuff that we need to pay, we don't want to have to cut program expenses. We'd rather dip into this first, and if we budget it perfectly, then hey, the next board gets to start out with this much money in the bank. For a net of $156, which just represents that it was a bunch of work to get to zero. That wasn't worth it. So if you want to learn more about this, if you're excited about how we spend your money and have thoughts about it, the best thing you do is attend these board meetings. It turns out that by being here, you learn what we're doing. I don't need to sell the people who are already here on being here, but tell your friends. You now have the inside track. Nobody else knows about the stuff we're doing but you and us. So tell your friends that you have a secret to share with them. If you want to learn more, you can also always email me, John Bryan at judgefoundry.org. And as Amanda said, there's ways to give feedback to the board. You can email us at board@judgefoundry.org or fill out that contact form. You post in the feedback form on JudgeApps. That's a great way to do it and engage with the community. You can ask a question in the QA form for each board meeting, or you can talk to us at events. These are the ways you get into contact with the board. We'd love to hear from you. I want to thank you all for listening to me, paying attention, and for any feedback you have about our budget process. We've now talked to you about how we're spending your money. And so, we want to hear what you think about that. With that, I'm going to pass it back to Amanda because we've got some new business to discuss.
And that brings us to our new business category, which several of these are things that we have talked about or hinted at, but this is going to be the formal board approval for these things. So I want to get us kicked off on that with our conferences project charter that Bears alluded to. Were we able to get that posted for people to take a look at?
It has not been posted broadly. I was going to read it out loud so that folks knew what was in it. Yep. So the project charter for conferences. The conferences project is tasked with facilitating permanent gatherings of judges for the purposes of education and camaraderie. This project is designated as a critical project. It uses the common project structure. The project will be led by the conferences manager, who, for the record, is currently Ward Warren. The duties of the conferences manager are to solicit proposals for gatherings organized by judge-friendly members or other parties to be officially designated as judge-friendly conferences, hereafter simply referred to as conferences. To secure a venue for the annual meeting of judge-friendly members, and optionally to plan educational and social programming at this meeting. To foster efficiently run conferences and high-quality presentations at these conferences, such as by sharing best practices for organizers, presenters, and attendees, to track various data and statistics on conferences, to encourage conference organizers to facilitate providing feedback for presenters, to publicly share artifacts from high-quality conferences. That means presentations, videos, things like that. To ensure equitable access to conferences across various factors, such as geographical location and proximity to other events. To encourage diversity among conference presenters and organizers. To promote inclusive and welcoming environments in conferences. It's expected that most conferences will be open to all judiciary members in good standing. However, it is permitted for some conferences to have a limited or restricted audience for the purpose of advancing an educational goal. To ensure that all conferences are publicly listed on JudgeApps and promoted in other regional venues. To regularly report on the status of the project to the board and the membership. And finally, to spend funds as allocated by the board for the furtherance of these duties and goals, and to promptly provide documentation of that spending on a regular basis. And so to pull back from a bit, I think a lot of us know what a conference is, but it's difficult to put that into words. I've tried to capture the essence of a conference here and also think back to elements of the best conferences that many of us have been part of over the past years and think about how can we continue that tradition of excellence moving forward? How can we improve upon it even further? So that's what's been put into this charter. Charters are changeable. So if you have suggestions, please let us know. We'd be happy to hear that and talk about amending things in the future. But this is where we are now. And after the meeting, the PDF will be available as well.
Does anyone have any discussion that they'd like to have about the conference's charter before we approve that? Okay, then with a show of hands, we will vote on approving the conference's project charter. All in favor? Okay, I see 5 votes. Conference's charter is approved. Next up on our agenda is the vote on resolution 1, which is the knowledge pool resolution. I was just trying to pull that up. If anybody has it up, they can read it for me.
Yep, I've got it right here. Resolved that Judge Foundry creates the knowledge pool as a project with the purpose of improving policy knowledge and JudgeApps forum usage. That the Judge Foundry Board of Directors designates the knowledge pool as a critical project and will select a project lead for it. That the project lead will have the authority to select and remove project members. That Judge Foundry authorizes the distribution of up to 1 monthly gift subscription per week to be allocated at the authority of the project lead.
Okay. Any discussion on knowledge pool? Okay. And with that, all in favor? And passes with 5 votes. Before we move to the next one, also we had some comments and questions about the fact that we often move through these quickly and just with a general vote. I did want to take this opportunity to say that we are having quite a bit of discussion behind the scenes in order to get these resolutions put together, and all 5 of us do have a say and input in that, and we often work out any minor differences before it comes to this point. And so that's why it often just looks like, yeah, we're just all approving things. If there aren't any discussion points that we aren't able to resolve before we come here, then we will try to have those and be transparent about those. But that's what you see. Also, we have a pretty good working relationship as a team and have areas that we focus on and yeah. Anyway, so moving on. Resolution.
Fighting is us fighting about it, but sorry.
There are occasionally some differences, but for the most part. Okay. Resolution 2 is our Canadian RCQ kits. Somebody want to read that one for us?
Yeah, I've got all 4 of these pulled up. So resolved that in order to promote the hiring of judges to run RCQs and to promote the recruitment of judges and to recognize the judges working RCQs, Judge Foundry is partnering with Face-to-Face Games to add items to the fall season RCQ kit sent to stores as a pilot program. And resolved that Judge Foundry authorizes the payment of up to $1,500 for judge gifts and up to $1,200 for promotional material to be included in these kits.
Any discussion?
I'll throw one out here. What about the U.S. judges?
Yes. So we've not forgotten. It would be difficult to forget our own country. So this is a pilot program. We would love to do this everywhere. It turns out that doing it starting in Canada is like an order of magnitude easier, cheaper, faster to start because of the volume of stores in Canada versus the US. The US has also just switched RCQ organizers. That means that Star City has taken over, and my understanding is the Star City kits are so popular that they sold out within days, and so Star City is still figuring out themselves what they're going to do, and so adding in the loop of hey, here's some more stuff, can you include it in it? Just wasn't in scope. I will also say that we recognize that our Canadian members don't have as easy a time getting merchandise. We know that if we try to send it across the border, the Wendigo eats it a lot. And so we want to get Canadian stuff that's Judge Foundry on it. We want you all to be able to show your Judge Foundry pride. That's kind of bonus. But our real thing here is there's a chance for us to do a small scale test. We'll sending out stuff to every RCQTO, increase judge recruitment, will increase judge usage at RCQs, will make players say, hey, where's your Judge Foundry judge? And so we want to test that out. If this is a huge success, and Star City wants to work with us, and then we would be thrilled to do it in the US as well. But we are big believers in trying something and scaling it up if it works well, rather than saying if we can't eat the whole elephant in one bite, we shouldn't eat any of it. Let's take a bite of elephant.
Thanks. Thanks, Bears, for bringing up that discussion point. Okay. Any further discussion on the Canadian RC kits? In that case, all in favor? Okay. Resolution 2, the Canadian RCQ kits, passes with 5 votes. Our next resolution is JudgeApps fees.
All right. So resolved that Judge Foundry partners with JudgeApps to provide a technological platform for membership, testing, and communication. That Judge Foundry contributes financially to JudgeApps proportionally to our organization's use of it. Judge Foundry authorizes the payment of $172.38 for services in January 2024, $177.82 for services in February 2024, $181.06 for services in March of 2024, and $179.93 for services in April of 2024. Judge Foundry authorizes continued proportional payments for JudgeApps services to be made by the organization each month until otherwise resolved, not to exceed $250 a month without additional authorization.
I'm going to open the floor up for discussion. One thing I would like to say here is that we do have some overlap between the Judge Foundry board and the JudgeApps board. It always was our intention to support JudgeApps. We find it a critical tool for the use of, they have rolled in some features for us as Judge Foundry, but also just generally a critical tool for judges. I think, as we've mentioned at least once tonight. And so this is not just the board members from JudgeApps pushing this, it's the whole team.
Yeah, I guess I'll add to that a couple of things that the board members from the JudgeApps board, that there's, say, Rob and Bears, have done a great job of sort of separating out their two roles. I have led the negotiations with JudgeApps from Judge Foundry, and been very clear about what we want, what we will accept, what we won't accept, and sort of that included that we want to pay a proportionate amount, which is to say, we have this many of the X users on JudgeApps. X, Y is Judge Foundry, and so we're willing to pay this percentage and expect that other organizations are also going to pay that percentage. And so we are advocating to our members to get a fair deal with JudgeApps. That while it is critical infrastructure that we absolutely need, we don't want. We know everybody wants it, and we don't want the Americans Canadians to pick up the whole check. But rather just their share of it. We're not going to credit card game this with IJP.
Okay. Any other discussion before we move on to a vote? Okay. With that, all in favor?
I abstain.
I abstain.
Okay. We have 3 in favor and 2 abstain. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to our 4th resolution, which is the Become a Judge videos and support of Judgecast.
Resolved that Judge Foundry authorizes the entry into a contract with Judgecast to create a series of 18 videos, each approximately 15 to 20 minutes in length, to be released over the course of 1 year. That the content of these videos will be focused on the development of level 1 judges, with the specific content determined solely by Judgecast. That these videos will be owned by Judgecast and hosted on their YouTube channel, with sponsor tags and imagery identifying Judge Foundry as the sponsor of the content, with links to Judge Foundry's website and information on how to become a level 1 judge. And that Judge Foundry may contract for up to $2,500 for the production of these videos.
Any discussion on this resolution?
So I just want to note, so this is authorization for Judge Foundry to enter into a contract. This is not we vote yes and then mail a check. This is we need to, as the board, authorize the creating of a contract. So if you're watching, then it's going to take a little while for us to actually get through that. Don't be hitting refresh on the YouTube page just yet. We know that they've got some plans, but it's going to take a little while for us to get through contracting them to get through creation. So we will not be shy about sharing when they have started.
Okay. Any other discussion?
My main question was actually along those lines as well. I think there's a lot of details that are going to be worked out via contract rather than via resolution. But at a high level, I did just want to double check that we would still, for example, be able to cross-post these to our YouTube channel, for example, if we wanted to build out more of a presence there, besides the board meeting that you're listening to now.
I'm going to be honest, I haven't talked to them about that. It's something we can negotiate with them. So yeah, I can't say anymore because I haven't talked to them about it.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's a helpful answer.
To be clear, this resolution doesn't bind us in any way regarding that, right? We can negotiate.
Right. It authorizes it, doesn't bind us. Yeah.
So authorizes us to go
this is not
and
the contract.
finish out the negotiations for the contract. Okay. Okay. All in favor of the resolution to go finish out the details and authorize the contract? Okay. We have 5 votes in favor. Okay. This last motion is actually a motion to change. So I'm going to read this so that I have the official wording here. I move to amend the adopted regions and regional leadership proposal by substituting the new regions and regional leadership and adopting the attached provisos. So for everybody watching, what that means is that we adopted the regional proposal previously. This is just changing it more into the format to match a lot of our other formats. So there's very few, only some, I think a couple of very minor technical changes. It's mostly a formatting change. And then that will be posted. I don't think we need to read that here today. Is any discussion on the regions? Oh, actually, sorry. There were 2 items I think at the bottom of the regions and regional leadership that we needed to chat about, which was the first set of elections. Do we want to go ahead and set the start and end times for the elections, or do we just want to put a note in here that we're leaving that to the elections committee?
I generally believe in meddling with elections as little as possible and would rather just let the elections committee make all decisions.
Madam President, I think that one thing that the board actually does need to do is setting the record date, which is the date and time that we take a snapshot of the membership so that we know who the valid voters are. I'm pretty sure that the board needs to do that one. And if you want to leave the rest of it to the election committee, that's probably fine. Okay.
So I see in here that we have a date of July 11th. Does anybody have any comments or thoughts on that for the record date?
Just to add new Central Daylight Time for July 11th.
Sorry, yes. 12 noon Central Daylight Time on July 11th. Okay.
My only consideration is My only consideration was, does this bind the election committee in a way that we don't want to bind them? As far as time-wise, if they wanted a different date. is that an issue?
I
Is
think
this a
it would
shippable date?
make the only way it would bind them is they could know no earlier than that, right? Because if we haven't set because that's when we're pulling the membership data. So if we haven't pulled that yet, then they would not be able to start any sooner than July 11th. It sounds like that fits with what they have already discussed, so I don't think we're binding them in a way that is unreasonable. Okay, so I guess motion here is to leave the record date, but remove the actual poll times with a note that the poll will be set, or the polling period will be set by the Elections Committee. Matt, was there any other pieces of this that we needed to discuss?
I think that's it. The term of the regional advisors is what was in the original proposal was the 13 months with the 1 month overlap. I don't know if you wanted to discuss that, but that's what's currently in the document that is before you.
Okay, I think we kind of hashed that out. So for everybody, the original proposal was the 13-month periods. That's a little A standard, so we were rewriting this up. There were some questions about it, but the plan is to stick with what was proposed and approved previously. If that causes issues at some point, then we will readdress it in the future. But for now, we're going to leave that with as proposed. Approved. Okay. With no other I'm not hearing any other discussion. So we will move to a vote. All in favor of amending the regions and regional leadership as proposed. Okay. 5 votes in favor. That is approved. And we will post that one online as well. So all of these will be posted on links from our website. Okay, just one more. We have been discussing, so when we created the bylaws, we set out classes of members, levels 1 through 5, plus an operations class. But one of the things that's come up as a discussion point several times is the fact that we have people who are paying dues, but according to the bylaws are not members, which creates a conflict. And so we've been talking about how to handle that, and especially if we create extra tests or things that are open for paying for people who've paid but not necessarily require a level. And so we are proposing a bylaws amendment. This will go to the bylaws committee, and this amendment will add a affiliate level of member. So they will be a dues paying member, but not yet certified. So this is maybe someone who is working on their level 1, working on an ops cert, or otherwise wants to support Judge Foundry, but does not have a judge level. So we have put together a amendment, and at this point, I am going to move to submit the bylaws amendment for creating an affiliate member to the bylaws committee on behalf of the board. All in favor? Great. So we will forward that to the bylaws committee. And I think that concludes all of our new business. Does anybody have any last thoughts? Great. Then I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something about how things are going, and tune in next month. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Yep. Thank you. We're going to transition to the